the chairman be authorized to declare.
The U.S. Congress is taking a close look at the elections in Poland. U.S. congressmen have addressed 5 specific questions to European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. Among them is the issue of foreign support for Rafał Trzaskowski. Which entities donated 420,000 zł for Facebook ads promoting Rafał Trzaskowski? And did any of these funds come from foreign sources, which would constitute a violation of Polish electoral law? American politicians are referring to the scandal revealed by journalists from Wirtualna Polska. Their findings show that the ads, slandering Karol Nawrocki and Sławomir Mencen, and praising Rafał Trzaskowski, which flooded social media, were created by the Akcja Demokracja Foundation. This entity is closely linked to the Civic Platform Party, and the funds for creating this hate campaign were allegedly provided by Estratos, a company in which the majority shareholder is a fund linked to the U.S. Democratic Party. The Hungarian company has offices in Austria and Belgium. We know now that forces such as the anti-Orban security services and anti-Trump circles in the U.S. were involved in Rafał Trzaskowski's campaign, and the letter to Ursula von der Leyen shows that the Americans are also likely aware of the influence of Brussels itself, which is involved in Rafał Trzaskowski's campaign. Even before they were posted by their official creators, the ads were already being distributed by prominent politicians of the Civic Coalition, and NASK, a government institution established to combat disinformation, only makes matters worse. In an official statement, contrary to the facts, it reported that Rafał Trzaskowski had become a victim of hateful ads. In addition, as Wirtualna Polska journalist Patryk Słowik has established, NASK forwarded a secret report to Rafał Trzaskowski's campaign team. Interesting fact. Do you know when a member of Rafał Trzaskowski's campaign team received the classified NASK report on election interference? May 9th. And when did members of Karol Nawrocki and Sławomir Mencen's campaign teams receive it? Never. A very honest approach. When asked by Sławomir Mencen about the scandal, Rafał Trzaskowski says that he is not familiar with the case. He has not seen the ads, and he does not have time for it at all. Please ask NASK. Please ask those foundations, not me. I can tell you one thing, that my campaign team had nothing to do with campaigns encouraging people to participate in the elections, and I will leave it at that. In addition, it turned out that someone was running Rafał Trzaskowski's social media account from Hungary and Belgium. That is, where the funds for his campaign were coming from. The vice chairman of the Civic Platform acts surprised and insists that he knows nothing about it. Who from Hungary was managing your Facebook account? I have no idea what you're talking about. You don't know who manages your Facebook account? Why was my Facebook account managed from Hungary? You don't know? Then please tell me. There are more suspicious leads in this campaign. As TV Republica has established, the Liberté Foundation was also involved in promoting Rafał Trzaskowski, spending nearly 200,000 zł on it in a few days. The organization is linked to Bartłomiej Sienkiewicz, a member of the European Parliament from the Civic Platform Party, and Adam Szłapka, Minister for European Affairs. Its budget is funded by domestic businesses and George Soros. Financing a dirty hate campaign, spending a huge amount of money and promoting Trzaskowski while targeting Karol Nawrocki and Sławomir Mencen is a scandal unprecedented in the history of elections in Poland since 1989. This is not the first such reaction from the United States. 2 weeks ago, Ursula von der Leyen received a similar letter regarding violations of the law by Donald Tusk's government. Earlier, the Hudson Institute prepared a detailed report on the lawlessness of the current ruling group. In his truly historic speech, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance was not joking when he warned complacent EU leaders that they must break with the increasingly common practice of censoring or restricting freedom of speech or political freedom. Americans also condemned the fact that Poland's largest opposition party has been unlawfully deprived of election subsidies. So we are seeing a campaign in which one candidate has no funds and the other is subsidized by foreign institutions. The issue and this case are only now coming to light and will be dealt with because it is the biggest scandal against the elections and crime against democracy in Poland since 1989. In addition to foreign institutions, Rafał Trzaskowski is supported by the irreplaceable media cartel of the Third Republic of Poland, which continues its smear campaign against Karol Nawrocki. Every day, more shocking information is brought to light, such as the fact that Karol Nawrocki took candy from his sister when he was a child. However, voters will make up their own minds.
An important American declaration on the future of Poland and the future of the Polish-American alliance. During the first CPAC conference in our country, U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem gave assurances that America will continue to support Poland militarily.
You will continue to have a U.S. presence here, a military presence, Fort Trump, that we can work together for the security of both of our nations. And you will have equipment that is American-made, that is high quality.
A strong voice coming from Donald Trump's administration. These words of assurance, spoken in Rzeszów during the first edition of the CPAC conference in Poland, are of enormous significance. American soldiers will remain in Poland and will guard our borders. The idea of Fort Trump, a large American military base on Polish soil, is also back on the table. I am glad that this topic is coming back because I hope that Poland will have this strengthening, in short, a very significant strengthening, not only of security, but above all, a very significant strengthening of the strategic relationship with the United States through an increased American presence in Poland. The origins of Fort Trump date back to Donald Trump's first presidential term, which saw a big strengthening of the Polish-American alliance. It was then that we signed agreements for the supply of LNG from the United States to Poland to our gas port in Świnoujście. It was then that the American military presence in Poland increased in terms of the number of soldiers. It was then that we signed contracts for the Patriot system and the F-35 for Poland. Fort Trump is an idea of a sufficiently strong and preferably permanent American military presence on Polish soil to strengthen our defense potential and guarantee the direct support of our strategic ally, the United States. But there is one condition. Strong American military support for Poland will only be possible with the right leader who will ensure security. This is about the future Polish president.
If you elected a leader that will work with President Donald J. Trump, the Polish people will have an ally strong that will ensure that you will be able to fight off enemies that do not share your values. You will have strong borders and protect your communities and keep them safe and ensure that your citizens are respected every single day.
Cory Lewandowski.
The former head of Donald Trump's campaign, Cory Lewandowski, expressed a similar sentiment.
Stany Zjednoczone stoją przy Polsce i prezydent Trump jest w 100% zaangażowany, żeby nasze oddziały były w Fort Trump. Wybierzcie właściwego kandydata. Popierajcie tego kandydata, który stoi za.
The leader of the United States is backing Karol Nawrocki, with whom Kristi Noem had a private conversation.
Just had the opportunity to meet with Karol, and listen, he needs to be the next president of Poland.
On chce być kolejnym prezydentem Polski.
You understand me?
Rozumiecie?
It is hardly surprising that Donald Trump's U.S. administration does not see Rafał Trzaskowski as a leader. After all, his boss Donald Tusk called the U.S. president a Russian spy. Trump and his dependence on Russian services today is no longer disputable. This is not just my assumption. This is the result of the investigation by American services. And in his book, he posted this photo. Karol Nawrocki has a completely different perspective on the transatlantic alliance. During his election campaign, he showed that good relations between Poland and the United States are crucial to him. Today, we are faced with the necessity throughout Poland and throughout Europe to take care of Polish-American relations. I will ensure that Poland becomes the EU leader in transatlantic relations.
Obywatelski kandydat na prezydenta na początku maja spotkał się z prezydentem Stanów Zjednoczonych Donaldem Trumpem.
At the beginning of May, the independent presidential candidate met US President Donald Trump and key American politicians. Thanks to Karol Nawrocki, America has lifted restrictions on the export of advanced chips used in artificial intelligence systems to Poland. This effectiveness bodes well for Karol Nawrocki's possible future presidency.
Niech żyje Polska!
Whether American soldiers will defend Polish soil depends today on the voters who go to the polls this Sunday to vote for one of the two presidential candidates.
This topic comes up again during each election and stirs up public opinion for a reason. It concerns voting rights for Ukrainians living in Poland. While this was more of a side issue during parliamentary and local elections, today it is becoming a really serious matter. This will be a very big threat, and it is precisely the element of closing the system that they are talking about. It is not only a change in treaties of issues of sovereignty, which are the most important, the transfer of powers to the European Union, but also technical, very important matters related to the system, which will cause the balance in the elections to tip in favor of left-wing liberal candidates and Donald Tusk's camp. Today, support for political parties in Poland is divided almost equally between the right-wing and liberal left-wing camps. So where can the votes that guarantee certain advantage be found? According to commentators, by inviting new voters from Ukraine to participate in the elections. I consider any schemes in this area that would aim to extend voting rights to minorities, to people who do not have Polish citizenship, to be very risky. One has to think, even being a party like the Civic Platform, I would expect them to think about Poland's future and Polish sovereignty, and not just about their immediate interests, although perhaps my expectation is completely unfounded. The idea of voting rights for Ukrainians in Poland was already being pushed in June 2022 by the current Minister of Justice, Adam Bodnar. He wrote in Gazeta Wyborcza at the time, Ukrainian citizens participate in the life of the local community. They work, pay taxes, and raise children. There is no reason why they should not have a say in the election of local authorities. It should be natural for them to also have their representatives in local councils. The Electoral Code allows European Union citizens permanently residing in Poland to vote in local elections. The problem is that this number is marginal. In the case of Ukrainians, who today constitute a large group in Rzeszów and Lublin, for example, the scale is significant. Here we see a huge danger of compromising the internal security of the state, compromising the social security system, and in fact, Polish people could find themselves in their own country as second-class citizens. A situation could arise in which, in some cases, they would be outvoted, and this would be unacceptable from the point of view of our Polish reason of state. The idea is applauded by representatives of the Ukrainian minority in Poland. People are treated as a labor force that should not have any rights. This is discrimination. Therefore, enabling participation in elections and support for communities that will protect the rights of migrants is highly advisable. What is more, even the issue of citizenship is not a necessary requirement for the ruling coalition. If it is a longer period of stay, then a solution must be found that gives them a chance. Shouldn't they get citizenship first? I am not an expert in this field. It is difficult for me to define it, but I believe that with a longer period of stay, it does not always have to be related to citizenship. Why is the idea of granting voting rights to immigrants important to the current government? Perhaps because this model has brought political dominance to the Social Democrats in Germany. There, it was enough to give voting rights to immigrants from Turkey. German society is aging at an alarming rate, and soon it will turn out that decisions across our western border will not be made by native Germans, but by people who have different origins and do not identify with this country at all. As a result, despite enormous support from native Germans, French, and British people, right-wing and conservative parties in Western Europe have no chance of breaking through the support of the growing immigrant diaspora.